And we are back. For our next segment, which is very specific in one technology, we are talking about Vienna being the perfect breeding ground for additive manufacturing startups. And for that, we're going to have Dr. Johannes Homa join us. He's the co-founder and managing director of Lithoz GmbH, the world market leader in the field of additive manufacturing of high-performance ceramics. Dr. Homa received the doctorate from the Technical University in Vienna and has been teaching at various universities since 2009. He's the co-inventor of 3 patents and author of numerous publications in the field of additive manufacturing. He's also leading the platform Additive Manufacturing Austria, which is a network partner of EIT Manufacturing CLC East. Hello, Johannes.
Hello, Hannes. Thank you very much for this kind introduction.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to give you the room, give you the stage. Please go ahead with your presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here as well at this at the Vienna Up at the Manufacturing Days, and I'm happy to show a little bit about my past, what I did so far, and why Vienna is a perfect breeding ground for additive manufacturing. I think I have about 35 minutes to present a little bit here. I have different topics included. I hope it will, for everybody, some interesting information. First of all, let me introduce you a little bit to the world of additive manufacturing. I think everybody in the meantime knows about additive manufacturing. Everybody has some ideas what additive manufacturing can do, what is the potential around it, who is using it. And I mean, most people know it from this material extrusion, as you can see here on the picture, but definitely this is much more in this field, and it's really a very interesting area. Let me just start a little bit with a little smile here into these presentations. Here you see Commander Worth from Star Trek. He has the so-called replicator. So whatever you wish, you just tell the replicator, and it produces it. And this is exactly what people sometimes think additive manufacturing is. It's just a tool which can do everything and which can basically save the world. But sometimes, the expectations are high, but knowledge is sometimes really low. So here you see just a small thing about that. And he's having here a 3D printer, and you see this is sometimes what people think about 3D printing. But what it's really about, the 3D printing. Where is it used in an industrial scale already? So I think for me, one of the promising technologies where they're using, or where it has already been established, is on one hand dental application. So this invisible aligners, which a lot of people actually wear currently, they are produced with the help of additive manufacturing. And the company is called Align. It's a company in Silicon Valley, and they are producing 400,000 parts per day with additive manufacturing to manufacture these aligners. And I think that's really a success story, and not a lot of people know that. The other story is hearing aids. So hearing aid shells are currently mainly produced by additive manufacturing. 98% of all hearing shells are produced by additive manufacturing. Also really a success story. And one which is not so much into daily life, but this is a fuel nozzle from GE for turbines. Here they could save 2% of fuel, which sounds not enough, not a lot for you maybe, but this is really amounts of saving millions of euros or dollars per airplane in terms of gas. And here just to see how the additive manufacturing market is developing. Here you see a graph from Waller's report. You see that this is just boosting up since in the last 10 years, and we see still this constant growth here with nearly everything double-digit growth, and it's a very interesting market. But this was just a few things to get started with additive manufacturing, and an idea what is additive manufacturing, what can be really done. Let me come back now to Austria. Why is Austria here important in the field of additive manufacturing? Well, we have founded, as Hannes was already pointing out, I'm president of Additive Manufacturing Austria, and we have founded a association to develop Austria into the most innovative pioneers in additive manufacturing, and to expand this enormous potential which lies in the technology. This is what we want to do, and therefore, I mean, it's important to spread the word, to talk about it, and to really tell people what Austria can do here in this field, and what Austria already has been done. So if we look back in the past, in the 1980s, where 3D printing was started, Swarovski was was the first company in Europe having a 3D printer, or Johannes research, who was working on laser sintering technologies for metals, far ahead of everybody else, as well as the Vienna University of Technology, where they have developed their own process for what they call now direct energy deposition, which is really broadly used, and or for Vorarlberg, our most western country here in Austria, they had the highest density of 3D printers in a region worldwide. And this is now the things that we have a lot of pioneering work happening in Austria, and but we also need to capitalize this. We also need to bring it to the manufacturing basis, and I think that's where additive manufacturing Austria has its is trying to push that forward, to not being just the breeding ground and kicking off something, being the first pioneer, being the innovator, but being those who also capitalize these developments. And now we still are really in a very good position. So, for example, per capita, we have the highest density of 3D printing manufacturing in the world. I mean, in absolute numbers, we are number 4 behind Germany, United States, China, and then already Austria is the next big company. So this shows really that Austria has a huge potential. But I mean, there was before that a session with Gerard from Incus and with VC Fund. And I think this is what we have to do a little bit better here in Austria, to take these technology developments which we have and bring it to the world and capitalize it. And we also had the highest increase in 3D printing patent applications worldwide. So from 2014 till 2017, there was a growth of about 300% or 370% on average, and we had 1,300% rise in patent applications. So this is really something, you know, where you see the breeding ground is good, the foundations are good, the pioneering work is good, and now the aim of additive manufacturing is to also push this forward and enhance these developments. And what's very important for additive manufacturing, because this is a new disruptive technology, and it's a manufacturing technologies which has also which enables new design functions, and so therefore you need to cover materials, you need to cover the process, you need to cover the equipment, and you need to cover the design. And this is what Austria can do already. We are covering we have players in all 4 areas, as well as from education, from R&D, from suppliers, and from users. We all have this, and this is what we could push forward and really become the most innovative country here in additive manufacturing. Yeah, we have a first-class starting point for a strong position, and I think this is what all engineers or European engineers have. we need to display a little bit more our competences and activities. I think this is currently one of my, let's say, one of my things where I put a lot of thinking into it. How can we enable European engineers, European startups who do perfectly technological work, also push forward in terms of marketing and drive them towards showcasing and displaying their competences. This is, I think, something very important. I think that's true for every startup which has a technological background here in Europe or in Germany or in Europe. I think that's for everybody the same. So just a side note on that topic here. Here you see some of the players here in this field. There are really different players from different verticals and horizontals. So everything is included here. But I think it's also interesting for you to know a little bit about myself. So I would like to show you also a little bit introduction to myself. There was actually for this Vienna app, they made a video about me. And I think that's a good thing to show to you. Okay, so here the video should start. My name is Johannes. I came to Vienna as a student, and now I'm CEO of the world market leader in 3D printing of ceramics, Lithoz. Lithoz is a technology provider for 3D printing of high-performance ceramics, which means we are developing and, of course, selling as well the machines, the software, and the material for 3D printing of ceramics. When I first came in contact with 3D printing, I was really fascinated, and the technology we developed here at the TU Wien was really unique and something which was missing on the world market. And so we simply made the decision to found a company without knowing where it will bring us. It's for Lithoz a perfect choice as a headquarter because we have here a very good workforce. We have very good connections through the airport, super public transport, and also for employees, but as well, of course, for customers. They like to come to Vienna to see this lovely city. This is the headquarter of our spin-off company, Lithoz. Let's have a look. In one research project, we started to work with metals, and here as well we found out that this is something unique to the world. So again, we decided to build up a company. So we made the spin-off of the spin-off. Looking back, it was really crazy to see that the technology which we developed at the TU Wien turned out to be such a game changer for the ceramic industry. But you got an idea a little bit about what we did. So really, as students, we were starting to work on this technology. And as I said in this presentation, without knowing if there is a market potential out there, we kicked it off and working at it. I mean, of course, we had a feeling that there is a market out there, but we learned so much in this time, and the market is much bigger than we expected. And I think that could be also a support for others who don't know if they should start a spin-out or if they should start as a startup or not. I think sometimes it's just worth trying, and this is, I think, what makes an entrepreneur to take the chances he have and push it in through. But here, just to see how long it takes to come to the point. I mean, we were starting already in 2006, 15 years ago, at TU Wien to work on this project, and then we had an industrial partner who was supporting us, and still it took us 4 years, 5 years to have the proof of concept to have what for us was very important, the same material properties as in conventional forming technology. And then once we had it, we said, okay, now it's time to found the company, and so we created Lithoz as a spin-off of the Vienna University of Technology. But since we already had so much work done at the university, we could very fast sell our first machine in 2012. Then we got a new shareholder, the very important person, Dr. Langer, who is well known in the additive manufacturing world, wanted to join our company and which is of course which made us of course very, very proud. Then we were already first of all focusing a little bit on Europe, but then starting to sell in America and in Asia. Then we founded in 2017 already our subsidiary in the United States, where we are currently working with 6 employees and developing the market there as well, and working there to push that forward. And definitely what you already heard just one hour ago, and also in this video, that Incus is a spin-off company of Lithoz, and so we already created our first spin-out, which shows the potential which lies in this additive manufacturing. And currently, which is not yet on the slide, but we've already expanded here in Vienna, so we already had to rent additional space here in Vienna, and we are building currently up our new production facilities. Yeah, for my person, I've already founded four companies. So Lithoz was the first company, then Cubicure, which is focusing on additive manufacturing of plastic materials or high performance plastic materials, and then Incus, as you already heard, and one company in Germany, which is called MedShape. So these are a little bit my background, but I think what's also very important is what's happening basically in the digitalization additive manufacturing business. I think this is, and the EIT is also focusing here on this topic of manufacturing and digital manufacturing, the digitalization of manufacturing, and this is, I think, very important. And if you see how fast innovation is growing here, or accelerating, I think then you need startups to develop new things. Bigger companies, they are like big tanks, big ships. They can do good work on the long term, and they keep their track. But innovation is most of the time happening outside of big companies, and then they integrate it. But that's the way it is, and that's good as it is. But definitely this gives a lot of opportunity for startups in this field currently, and in this fast field, and startups are prepared for that. And if you see how the technology or how the market has changed over the years, you can see that, I mean, this is from 2016, this slide. I think this is for sure more and more true. But you see that those companies who have focusing on digital content somehow, on digital things, that they are now dominating the market. And I think this is something where we in manufacturing have also to take a closer look into this digitalization of everything. And digitalization is the success. And this is what we have also seen in this Corona COVID crisis. It has been very difficult for those companies who did not have any digital access to the world, that they could stabilize their business. As you know, Zoom, as we are using currently here, or MS Teams or Skype, they were booming during this phase because they were driving this digitalization. I think this is still a lot of things to do here. And if you see here as well, this, I mean, it's in German, but you get the point here, that here you have classical mechanical engineering and digital mechanical engineering, so to say, that the market capitalization of these digital companies is much higher as these conventional companies, and their growth has been tremendous in the last 5 years. And this is, I think, something which reflects a little bit the importance of digitalization. And this is more and more this is very interesting for startups to see that there's a lot of money available if you are in the right business. And since 2013, investments in additive manufacturing are growing by 80% per year. So far in 2020, only 1.5 billion has been invested into startups. And you see there are some German companies here, but the main companies are US-based companies. They know how to raise money, and I think this is something what we have to learn, how to raise more money in order to compete with them, because at the end it's not the best technology who will win at the end. It's the one who has the most money, and the one who is and it will be the one who will lead it. So I think for you as startups, I think this is something a very interesting field, something where you could look at. And here you see just some acquisitions, one of which is, I don't know how it's in other areas at the moment, but currently specs is a big topic for going on the stock market, and there is really a lot of those it's not an IPO, but it's a lot of these spec transactions happening, and only from January to April, 2 billion deals with over 2 billion has already shown how big this market currently is. So this is for sure a thing to watch. Why is additive manufacturing in Vienna? What's so special about it, or what can you do? I think let me just introduce you to a couple of the companies. So Lithoz, you already know. So we are doing 3D printing of ceramics in different industries: industrial, aerospace, medical, and dental. We are providing the machines and the materials for it. And we have Incos doing the same in metal, providing materials and machines for the software. Gerard has talked about it. Then we have Genera providing processes for 3D printing of in the stereolithography field, which is also very interesting, focusing more on this process approach. Then we have Abnano, for example, focusing on very tiny objects, so they can really print very fast and very accurate small objects. This is also a very interesting company trying to industrialize it. Or Cubicure doing hot lithography and building up a very good market with machines and material as well. Or I think that's also important for a startup field, or for a breeding ground, that you also have media involved here. So Dreidruck is an independent additive manufacturing magazine, only digital, and that's the biggest German language online magazine for additive manufacturing. And this is also in Vienna. And most people often don't know that these companies are all based in Vienna. And last but not least, I think if you want to build up a good startup, I think it's also important to think about this ecosystem. And I think that's very good here in Vienna. And basically, it's all about networks. So either in education or in R&D or with users, with media, even in politics. You need also the politicians to push that forward. And this is what we currently see, that politicians are understanding that digital manufacturing is important, that this can be used for different things, and to push those things forward. And this is actually why Silicon Valley is also so positive, or has this huge impact, because they have a network. They have a network of VCs. I think this is something which is a little bit missing here in Vienna, but I think the VCs are coming once an ecosystem has more visibility. And this is what Austria is trying to promote, or to push forward, to have more visibility, to have more things to show, and then also this the money will follow. And I think for you, if you have a startup idea, in 3D printing, you definitely should look into these networks, because they can push you forward. They can introduce you to the right people. They can introduce you to industries. They can support you with some ideas. This is even on a general topic, speaking from my background. We were very lucky to have the INITS here in Vienna, which is a startup center, an accelerator, to have the same people around you who have the same attitude, who want to build up the system and who want to build up a startup, and then is where you can exchange your ideas with them, your problems, your questions you have. I think that's very important. And luckily, I think that EIT Manufacturing Center is now a co-location center here in Vienna, which even can support this initiative here as well. And last but not least, I've been a little bit faster than expected, but last but not least, I want to close this thing and I think that's important for everybody who starts up a new business, to think about, to think if, additive manufacturing, interesting, but what can it be used for, but, it's, you can use it for fun, and you have some crazy ideas what you can do for it, but basically there is not really a need for it. And if you have this kind of thinking, then you should rather think more about the potential of such technologies and potential of such new findings, because even in the late 70s, Ken Olsen, who was founder and president of Digital Equipment, he was saying there is no reason why anybody wants to have a computer in their home. And basically look now in your home, how many computers do you have there? Not one, 5 or 10 computers, which you already have in your homes. Your mobile phone, your laptop, your PC, your TV, everything is basically a laptop. And this is how things are often underestimated, and how game-changing technology can change the way of thinking. And I think this is here also one thing you should keep in mind. So thank you very much for listening to the presentation. I'm happy if you have any questions, and would like to share my background with you, my point of view, if you have any interest. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Johannes, for this really enlightening presentation. I've one question here, Johannes, and that is obviously, as a leadership of the additive manufacturing Austria platform, you are trying to, and you made that very, very vivid and compelling, to join you here in Vienna and have your startup in Vienna. From an entrepreneur point of view, are you not afraid to create your own competition, so to speak, here in Vienna?
No, I think this is something which I learned in the past. Before answering this question, I would just give you some background stories. So when we started Lithoz, I was so proud to be the only company worldwide who provided 3D printer for ceramics, of course, for high performance ceramics. I think this was, we are the only company worldwide who could do this. But then I realized, if you are the only company worldwide, nobody else is interested in this technology. So it's not good to be the only one who is providing it. It's to be the leader. You should be the quality leader, the technology leader, the market leader. This is what you aim to aim for, and you will have competition. If a market is interesting, you will have competition, as a matter of fact, and you have to live with it. And competition is good. Competition is pushing the market. Competition is pushing you forward. Competition is also pushing your customers forward, because they also make sales, they also make marketing, they also spread the word about your technology. So, and that's why it's basically in such an early stage. It's not about competition; it's about creating the flood. You need to create the flood, and the flood will raise all boats. So it's not thinking, oh, I will have now more competition here. The more focus we get in Vienna on additive manufacturing, the more attention we get here in Vienna. They would say, oh, okay, Vienna is really something where things are happening, and more people will look here into Vienna. You will create a network. VCs will come here and say, hey, it seems to be that here in Europe, Austria, Vienna, as you name it, there's really some technological or some development on the technological side happening, which is really game changing, which is really on a very good things, and we need to look into that. So I think it's not good to talk about competition, but I think it's better to see this is something which creates more attention for everybody at the end.
So there's a proverb in English that says a rising tide raises all boats.
Exactly.
That's kind of, raising the market, raising the
Exactly.
attractiveness of the market and the product.
It's more important to make the cake bigger than to try to get the biggest part of the biggest chunk of the cake. The bigger it is, the better it is for everyone.
Very good, understood. So if you are a startup, scale up, if you have an idea in regard to 3D printing, Vienna is welcoming you. I have another question here from a viewer, and that is, once I have such a cool idea, how do I get started, in 3D printing with technology application, where to go to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think this is where maybe you could go to AIM Austria and say, hey, I need some support. Who could help me? I don't know what kind of idea this is. Is it a new manufacturing technology? Is it some design application? And then we could guide you through our network and say, hey, here is something. What you need to do is to go out and talk about your idea. Of course, you should not tell any details, but if you talk about it and say, hey, who could help me with? Where do I get investors from? Where do I get people who are interested in the problem I have solved? I think that's important, but please feel free to get in contact with me directly or with AIM Austria. We are happy to help and support here and hopefully get you into contact with partners who are interested in your application.
Johannes, I know you're doing that for many years and doing it very successfully for many years, and you're very tenacious. You're not giving up. You're always going and going and going. But looking back, if you could do anything differently with your startup, what would you do differently?
That's an interesting story. On the one hand, I think, if you go that way to what you had made, I think we have been successful. We are a world market leader. We are a technology leader. We have really reached everything. But at the end, we had a lot of blood, tears, and sweat, which was not always necessary. And I think that's important to get support, to get guidance from, I don't say venture capitalists, but from investors, from stakeholders, from people who can and should support you. I think that's something which I learned from the first one to the second startup, to raise money, to give people the chance to help you and support you, and not do everything your own way. And I think, this is what we did, but I think the bigger your network is, that you should listen to people and they can guide you through, because they already know how difficult it is to start up things and how much help you can get. And this is, I think, one of the lessons I learned very early is that you should trust people and talk with them and try to get supporters who really support you. Of course, the problem is there are always black sheeps or so somewhere, but there are so many people at the moment, if you are in the startup scene, that they could say, hey, they are good guys, ask them, ask him, ask her, and ask. I think that's a good thing, and then I think things will go smoothly.
Great, thank you so much, Johannes. There's never a guarantee for being successful, but if people are interested and they seek your guidance, then you will help them at least to avoid the same mistakes that you have learned from. So that's already, a huge advantage for any startup and any scale up there.
Exactly. I think, well, there is no guarantee for success, but if you are working hard and if you want to reach something, maybe your idea will change in the first 3, 4, 5 years. But if you have a good team around you and if you have a good spirit, you just find something else where your application technology whatever fits better than you assumed in the beginning. And sometimes you have to give up, but in most cases it's not necessary to give up. It's just you have to fight for it. And this is also startup things.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience and giving some guidance here to people watching our event here. Many of them probably startups or not even there yet, like innovators with some ideas. I think they find it very helpful if they are in the area or thinking about going in the area of 3D printing to get in contact with the Additive Manufacturing Austria platform, and you will help them.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Johannes, for taking your time and talent to share that with us. I'm really looking forward for COVID to be over and the two of us going to meet for a cup of coffee, okay?
Yeah, or for a beer. Okay.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.